Hi, everybody. This is Barbara Mayerson from joyandsuccess.com. And I am here with a lovely lady who I've known for 10 or so years, maybe 12 years. She and I did a couple of seminars together years ago, and she's a lovely lady. Her name is Tammy Gaines. Thank you so much for coming and talking with me, and it's so great to connect with you again.
Oh, it's so great to connect with you, even though it's over Zoom. Crazy times, but it is great to see you and hear your voice.
Yeah, you too. And I want you to talk about um, well, how we met was that was a long time ago, but like what you're doing now, what you're interested in now, and what your topic is going to be for today. So take it away, Tammy.
Okay. So, what I want to talk about is the positive side of the pandemic. But before I get to that, I really need you to understand where I'm coming from, where I got this attitude from. So, 14 years ago, it's unbelievable. I became unexpectedly pregnant with twins. My then husband gave me an ultimatum. I could have him, I could have the twins, but I couldn't have both.
Mm.
I chose the twins, and that set off a domino effect of things in my life that was almost unbelievable, even as I look back on it now. So I ended up on hospitalized bed rest for 5 weeks. Then the twins were delivered by emergency C-section at 1 pound, 12 ounces.
Wow.
Um, my son was in the hospital for 18 months before he came home. And when he came home, he had a trach, he was on a ventilator, oxygen dependent. And my daughter spent 4 months in the hospital in the NICU before she came home. So that whole experience, I had two other kids that were normal births. But when you have a premature birth, it is unbelievable, unrealistic, nothing you can imagine. Um, and I do want to say a couple of things. One is that the March of Dimes and the resources that they provided our family helped me get through it.
Mm.
It was emotional support, it was financial support, and I've maintained that relationship with them. So November is National Prematurity Month. So if you could find it in your heart, I know these are hard times, but even if you just send a little bit of money, anything would help to them, to the March, your local March of Dimes. Um, but the other thing that leads into our topic, Barbara, is the person you see sitting here before you would not have been were it not for having premature twins. So I had two kids at home, two kids in the hospital. I was going through a divorce. I lost both of my grandmothers
Mm.
during that period of time, and I had to put my dog to sleep. I was like, really? Et tu, Brute? So during the like, it was an unimaginable, it all happened in 5 months.
Mm.
But what I realized is your attitude is everything.
Yeah.
Like how you handle every challenge defines who you are.
Yeah.
And I always believe that in your darkest moments, your brightest light shines.
Mm. Mm.
So when you and I reconnected, and I said, "What do you want me to talk about?" And you said, "What do you want to talk about?" I was like, "We're in the middle of a pandemic, so let's talk about the positive side of the pandemic." Which for a lot of people is going to be very difficult because there is so much heartache. There is so much loss. There's loss of income, there's loss of life, loss of sanity in some ways. Um, but the truth is, I believe this was divinely intended. I believe that every once in a while, we're given a moment of pure grace.
Yeah.
And I believe this might be that moment. It might be that moment for us to sit back and take a look at who we are, how we live our lives, who we're spending our time with. So if you think about it, this is October 2020. When we went to bed on March 11th, we had no idea what was going to happen on March 12th. So life was good. We had just celebrated the new year. Then it was February, it was Valentine's Day, Black History Month. Come March, when they said everybody stays at home, we were all kind of like, all right, we stay at home on the weekends sometimes. It's not a big deal. But when, no, stay at home, do not leave your house except for essentials, that became a whole different reality. And unfortunately, I think a lot of people didn't really get it, how important that was, but we did. And when I say we, so I have 4 kids. My daughter was living in Jersey City, New Jersey. My son is in college in Philadelphia at Temple. My and then I have twins. So my 14-year-old is here with me, and her twin brother is in a facility just outside of Philadelphia. So teenagers, normal environment. They would be ripping and running the streets, hanging out with their friends. Look, this forced all of us to get hanker down with our family. And I call this the positive side of the pandemic because there are some really good things that came out of this that would have never happened otherwise. So let's talk about family. Um, we are in a go-go society. We're always running. We always have a meeting. We always have to get the kid to practice. We have to do this. They got to go to school. I have a we never spend the kind of quality time that we should with our partners or our kids. And the pandemic has forced us to do that.
Okay.
So the quality time I've been able to spend with my 14-year-old daughter would have never happened were it not for the pandemic.
Right.
We've been bicycling, we've been cooking, we've been watching movies, we've been just bonding. I think that's really important, especially moms and their daughters. We have so much to share, and we've just been sharing and telling stories, and she's asking me questions about our background, everything. Um, I've been talking to my son, like, who talks to their son in college every day? Like, talk practically every day. I just think it's a chance for all of us to reconnect with our family soul, or family center, which if we were running around, it wouldn't have happened.
Right. Right.
Um, so in terms of our other relationships, so you might be married, you might be single. I talked to my neighbor, she's so cute. I was like, whose dog is that? She's like, it's my boyfriend's dog. I was like, really? Where'd you meet him? She's like, oh, it's a pandemic relationship. We met online, we, quarantined, and then we got together. So I actually met somebody in December that I'd been seeing. And because of the pandemic, it sort of accelerated what would have taken 4 or 5 months of dating, going to the movies or going to dinner for 2 hours here and 2 hours there. We've been hunkered down talking about what matters to us, what's important in the world, what's on our heart, what our values are, how we were raised. That stuff doesn't really happen until you're much deeper into a relationship. So I think that's a positive.
That it's great that you said that because I've heard that a lot. That a lot of people, um, that spiritual people, saying like it gives us a chance to really think about what's important to us and who's important and what's really going on. And we're hoping that because everybody's stuck at home, that a lot of people are doing that, even people that would never do that anyway. But the people that are new to it is doing that. So I think it's wonderful that you're bringing that up and talking about that.
I think it's real. It's funny. I was talking to my sister-in-law, and she said, "Wow, you guys are at an accelerated rate." I said, "Yeah. Instead of 3 months of dating, we spend 4 days together every single week
Mm.
because we're not moving around. We're just home, playing Scrabble or reading or just quietly watching TV." So I think the other thing that's interesting and worth noting is that the pandemic has forced us to reevaluate the way we work.
Mm.
So, Barbara, you and I live generally we're in the tri-state area.
Right.
They get up at the crack of dawn, they grab their coffee and their bagel, they get on the train, they go into the city or they go to Connecticut, they go to wherever they're going. And there are a bunch of people that are riding in a box, living in a box, working in a box. Then they get home, they're exhausted, they eat food out of a box, they go to bed in a box, and they wake up and they do the same exact thing for 20, 30, 40 years.
Right. Right.
We've been doing that forever. That's how we were raised. Like, go to school, get good grades, get a great job, get the gold watch, retire, stare out the window.
And that's it. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So because of the pandemic,
Yeah.
we were all forced to come home and work from home. So um, no one's doing that grind except for our essential workers, and I'm very grateful for our essential workers. But I'm talking to people that are like, I was sick of commuting into the city. I didn't want to do that anymore. I like working in my t-shirt and my shorts. I was sick of putting my suit and my tie on. I think something that's really positive is that we've redefined the way we work.
And not only that which is great, but also redefine the way we play. I know, like, I was going to the gym for a long time, and I liked working out, but I was really getting tired of being at that, doing the same classes every day, and go, 2 or 3 days in the same classes. And I was like, but I didn't think, well, what else is there? I just kept on doing it. And then the fact that it closed was like, well, now I could either blow up and, sit around and eating and do nothing, or think of, well, there's got to be other exercise possibilities out there. And I actually went to buy, I had weights, but I went to buy other weights. They were so sold out already, like within the first 2 weeks, because everybody have the same idea. So it's like with work too. Like we do the same thing over and over and over again without really saying or just questioning it. Do I want
Right.
to keep on doing this? And since I was forced not to be able to go to the gym, were forced. They didn't go to work, so now they're rethinking. Now
They're
what?
rethinking work. So they're rethinking like even your physical home. If I'm working from home, like what does that look like?
Right.
Um, if we're being productive being home, why do we need to go back to the office? Why can't we pop in like once a week or every couple of weeks just to connect with each other? But um, this is really healthy. So I was forced to work from home. So it's great. I get to walk my dog. She doesn't have to like sit inside for 9 hours while I'm at work. She gets a good morning walk. My daughter takes her out because my daughter is working from doing school from home. Um, and then I sit with my daughter and have lunch, and we just started like talk about like what's going on, like connecting on a very personal level during work makes me more productive. Like
Mm-hmm.
with lunch, I come back, I'm like, all right, I'm ready to go, and I become more creative because I'm not sitting in a box. I'm not surrounded by people that think in a box. Um, I think it's great, and I think it's going to force businesses, and I've already seen it in the news. Businesses are going to rethink what's required. So I work for a company that literally just shut down our office. We had like 3,000 people in that building. They
Oh,
just, but they shut it. Like everybody's working from home successfully. Why do we need to pay money on the real estate?
that's great.
It's great. Um, so I think that's a really good thing. I think another piece of this is connecting with yourself.
Yes.
So if we're in a go, go, go world, go, go, go society, we're driving, we're going here, we're going there, we're very, very busy. There's never any time to just check in with yourself and say, like, how am I doing? And what am I doing?
Yeah.
So for me, the pandemic has been really great. So we were on lockdown in March, and it took me a couple of weeks to settle into like, oh, this is like our new normal. But then I started to think I had a lot of time to think because we weren't going anywhere. So we were sitting and thinking and sitting on the deck when it got warmer. And I realized, like, I wrote this book called Preemie Parents. It's been out of print. Like, I should bring that back. I should, like, why aren't I doing like this is time I would never have otherwise. So why don't I relaunch my book?
Right.
So I'm in the middle of doing that. November's National Prematurity Month, which is why I mentioned the March of Dimes. We're relaunching the book just in time for that. I also have been like dabbling with my business, treating it like a hobby.
Mm.
A line of magnesium-based wellness products. But because I had so much free time on my hands, I'm like, why aren't I putting my effort into this? Like instead of sitting like a couch potato watching TV, I will ask your viewers, like, what could you be doing right now to advance yourself, to better yourself? Could you be
Mhm.
language course online. Um, my partner wrote a book 14 years ago. We launched it last week. Why? Because we had time.
Right.
Think about what's been on the back burner. Think about every excuse you have, the pandemic has wiped out. I have no time.
Right.
I'm to this, I'm to that. No, you're not. You are sitting at home, or you should be, and you have X hours a day to advance your project. And how awesome would it be when we come out of this pandemic, and we will come out of this pandemic? How great would it be to look back and say, like, this is my body of work from the pandemic. This is all the great stuff I accomplished. I lost weight. I wrote a book. I learned how to cook. I learned a new language. I met somebody. Um, I don't think that we should. I don't think we should take for granted what the opportunity is. And time is the one thing you will never get back. You could always have more money, but you can never have more time.
Right.
Pandemic has given us more time than we could possibly imagine having.
Yeah, and to start using it wisely. And like you said, I mean, the first month or so, we were all stuck and we didn't know what was happening. But once we saw this is what's going to be for a while, and like, well, now what? We're tired of eating all the time and sitting around complaining. Well, what good can come out of it? And I think what you're right on about so many things. It's amazing.
Oh, thanks. But it's, it comes out of my experience. So a lot of people had a hard time being in quarantine. They had difficulty being alone and difficulty not having a social life. But because of the birth of my twins, that was like 7 years of me basically sitting in a hospital room.
Mm.
Went from the hospital and home and the hospital and home. And during my downtime, I read, I wrote. That was a whole different kind of quarantine.
Yeah.
When this happened, it was kind of like, all right, so this is like being on bed rest again for 5 weeks. This is like being in the hospital with the twins. Like, I just sit and I wait patiently.
And I think also that one of the things that's really coming out is that they keep on talking about it, which is true. We're all in this together. And I know I've been talking to people all over the world, and wherever I talk to, they're all where we are. And it's just really amazing to see how we are all doing the same thing, and we're all at the same place.
All over the world. This is a global,
Yeah,
like, putting our arms around each other all over the world, which would have never happened were it not for the pandemic.
yeah, yeah. And
We
that's amazing. That's really amazing when you realize like all the different countries, and we all have different leaders and all have different ideas of life and how it should be run, but we're all in this together. And I know one person that I talked to, she was sitting around doing nothing, and she said, I can't get out there and run, but she did. Somebody in England, and she started to run, and now she's a runner. And it's really interesting to see all these people all over the world that are they're
It's
doing
inspiring.
fun things, huh?
It's totally inspiring.
Yes, it is. It is.
I
And
bought a bike a year ago. Um, Great bike. Got my younger daughter a bike. My older daughter bought a bike. I was like, you guys, we should go for a bike ride. Something that would never happen if we weren't in quarantine. 23-year-old daughter, my 14-year-old daughter, and me. We put our bikes in the back of my truck. We drove down to the beach to Sandy Hook. We did a 14-mile bike ride.
wow, wow.
I've never been more than like a mile and a half. So it was on two different levels. One was spending that kind of quality time, like we had the music playing, we were encouraging others to go. We were seeing people on the trail that were just seeing people for the first time, like we were. People were like connecting from a distance. We had our masks on. Um, that was a huge accomplishment. Like, I can write that on my list of things we accomplished during the pandemic. I rode 14 miles.
That's amazing. That is so amazing.
And I did it with my daughters.
That's great. You had your daughters. Now you were going to give us some affirmations. I know you're going to download some affirmations for us, but like in the meantime, a couple of affirmations that we can do now, and maybe people can write them down if we do it slow enough. But if not,
Okay.
they'll get the download somewhere. To
So
help people to you know, I know we're trying to do is be as positive as we can. You're very positive about this whole thing. Maybe everybody's not as positive as we are. Hopefully they are positive as you are. I know. So let's give us some affirmations that can get
Okay.
us through this time.
Um, so the first affirmation, and I have a list of affirmations. I'm gonna send them to Barbara to put on her website, and you can go there to download it. Do you want to mention your website?
Well, it's joinsuccess.com. No, they know it. You know, everybody knows it at this point, but yeah, joinsuccess.com. Yeah, we're gonna be giving out free gifts, so we'll probably put it in the free gift. We'll figure out a way how to get it to them.
Okay. So the first affirmation, I am not afraid.
I am not afraid.
I am strong.
I am strong.
I am afraid.
I am brave.
I am brave.
I am brave.
I think that's important. I'll go to the next one, but that's important because there's so much negativity around us, around the
A lot
pandemic.
of fear. Yeah.
There's a lot of fear. People are afraid of their own shadow, and we should be careful but not afraid. Those are two different things.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I am not afraid.
I am not afraid.
I am brave.
I'm what?
I am brave.
I am brave.
Okay. So the next one is I am grateful for these times.
I am grateful for these times.
They've shown me things I would have never seen.
They've shown me things I would have never have seen. I think those are great. Those are, you know, keep it simple. I think they're simple enough where you can keep on hearing this and rehearing it, and you could write it down and you could say it and come up with your own audience out there. But yeah, because we are in this together, and wonderful affirmations that you just said that let everybody know that you can still. And I was talking to somebody. I mean, we go out there and we can't smile at people, but somebody was smiling. She said, I was smiling. She said, I could see it in their eyes.
Yeah.
So you could see the smiles in their eyes, even though you can't see their face, but you can see their eyes. So smile at everybody, whether, you know, they can see it, and shine the good things out there.
People can see a smile in your eyes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, yes, I would encourage everybody to smile at each other, to be kind. Whatever kindness looks like in that particular moment. I believe we need to get civility and grace back. And I think that's another positive, because we know what ugly looks like. I do believe this is a moment of grace. It's a moment of grace.
And I think it's shifting, like also, like for everybody that was not living that way, they're living like that a lot more now,
Absolutely.
having a lot more compassion for people. So this has been amazing. You're just wonderful. I love the message that you're giving out to everybody, and it's really so uplifting. And that's exactly what we need in this day and age. Just being uplifting and positive. And Tammy had a rough life there with her two little preemies, and but she's weathered it, and she's strong, and she's happy, and she's not bitter, she's not angry, and she's amazing and giving, and that's amazing. You know, you're a great inspirational example of how life is supposed to be. And so I really want to thank you for all of that, and thank you for being here and being us. And we'll get you the download somehow of the affirmations. And audience, just keep on smiling at everybody that you see, and they can see it. They can see it in your eyes. So thank you so much for being here, audience. And Tammy, thank you for being here.